If your workouts always feel new, exciting, and different, there's a good chance you're not actually progressing. One week it's back squats, next week it's goblet squats, then it's hack squats, front squats, Bulgarian split squats, and some new variation you saw online that promises faster gains. It feels productive. It feels like you're optimizing. But in reality, you might be resetting your progress every time you switch. Today we're talking about a simple idea backed by exercise science. You don't need more exercises. You need better execution. And for most people, mastering a few key movements will produce far better results than constantly chasing new ones. Let's start with why program hopping is so common. Most people don't actually quit the gym. They just keep changing what they do. They bounce from program to program, exercise to exercise, or routine to routine, usually because they feel bored, confused, or like progress has stalled. And psychologically, that makes sense. Novelty creates excitement. A new routine feels like a fresh start. It gives you the sense that something is finally going to work. But that feeling isn't the same thing as real adaptation. In strength training, progress isn't just about building bigger muscles. It's also about learning a skill. Every time you perform a squat, a bench press, or a deadlift, your body is solving a coordination problem. It's learning how to brace, how to stay balanced, how to move the bar efficiently, and how to get through the hardest part of the lift. That process is called motor learning, and it's a huge part of strength. Research shows that strength gains are highly specific to the movement you practice. If you train a certain lift, most of your improvement happens in that exact lift. The more you practice it, the more efficient and coordinated you become. But if you change your main exercises every week or two, you never spend enough time practicing any one skill. You keep paying the learning cost over and over again, and that can make it feel like you're not getting stronger, even when your muscles are adapting underneath. So the problem isn't always the program. Sometimes the problem is that you never stay on one long enough to get good at it. Now, this doesn't mean variety is bad. Variety has its place. Different exercises can target different parts of a muscle, reduce joint stress, and keep training more enjoyable. The issue is random variety versus systematic variation. Systematic variation means you keep a few core lifts stable, track your progress, and make small, purposeful changes over time. Random variety is when you rotate exercises constantly without a clear plan, which makes progression hard to measure and skills hard to develop. So instead of asking, "What's the best exercise?" a better question is, "What are the 2 or 3 key movements I should master right now?" Now let's talk about something even more practical. How do you know if you're doing an exercise wrong, or if you just need better execution? A lot of people assume that if a rep looks messy or feels hard, the exercise must not be right for them. So they switch to something else. But research on experienced lifters shows that as loads get heavier and fatigue builds up, bar speed slows down, coordination changes slightly, and reps become less smooth. That's normal. Your body is adapting to stress. So the first question to ask is this: does your technique fall apart only near the end of a hard set? If your first few reps look controlled and consistent, but the last 1 or 2 look slower or slightly different, that's probably not a bad exercise problem. It's a load and fatigue problem. In that case, the solution is usually to adjust the dose. Use a slightly lighter weight, stop a rep or 2 before failure, rest a bit longer, or reduce the total volume. Many technique issues disappear when you stop pushing every set to the absolute limit. The second question is, can you perform clean, controlled reps when you lighten the load? If you can't reproduce a stable, consistent rep even with lighter weight, that points more toward a technique or coordination issue. That's when you slow the movement down, add pauses, reduce the range of motion temporarily, or get feedback from a coach or video. Technique isn't something you either have or don't have. It's a skill, and like any skill, it improves with focused practice and good feedback. And the type of cue you use matters too. Instead of thinking about body parts like squeeze your glutes or keep your knees out, it often helps to use external cues. Things like push the floor away, keep the bar over your midfoot, or drag the bar up your legs. These kinds of cues focus on the outcome of the movement, and research suggests they can improve performance and learning more effectively. Now let's clear up a few common myths that lead people to program hop. The first myth is muscle confusion. The idea that your muscles need constant new exercises to keep growing. But muscle doesn't grow because it's confused. It grows because it experiences enough tension, effort, and recoverable volume over time. Studies show that people can build similar muscle with fixed exercise selections, as long as they progressively overload those movements. Variation can help shape different parts of a muscle, but random, constant switching isn't required for growth, and in some cases, it can make progress harder to measure. The second myth is that if progress stalls, you must change exercises. In reality, many stalls come from poor progression strategies. People use the same weight, the same reps, and the same rest times for weeks, and then blame the exercise when nothing changes. Before you switch movements, ask yourself, have you actually progressed anything? Have you added weight, added reps, improved control, reduced rest, or increased total volume? If not, the problem may not be the exercise. It may just be a lack of progression. The third myth is that any deviation from perfect form is dangerous. Technique isn't a single rigid template. It's influenced by your body structure, your mobility, the load you're using, and how fatigued you are. There are definitely red flags you should respect, like sharp pain, loss of balance, or completely uncontrolled reps. But small variations in technique are normal, especially under fatigue. A smarter approach is to focus on building technique capacity and managing fatigue over time, instead of constantly abandoning exercises at the first sign of imperfection. So what should you actually do? Choose a small set of anchor lifts that match your goals and your body. Stick with them for an entire training block, usually 6 to 12 weeks. Track your progress carefully. Focus on consistent setup, controlled reps, and gradual overload. Then use variation where it makes sense. Add different accessories, use tempo changes, add pauses, or make small adjustments that keep the movement familiar while improving control and robustness. Because real progress often looks boring. It looks like the same exercises week after week, done slightly better, slightly stronger, and slightly more controlled each time. But that's where mastery happens. And mastery is what builds real strength, real muscle, and long-term joint health. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Don't ask how many exercises you can fit into your program. Ask how well you can perform the ones that matter most. If you found this helpful, tap the like button and subscribe for weekly videos on health, fitness, and longevity. And if you've ever been stuck in the cycle of program hopping, let me know in the comments what exercise you're going to commit to mastering next. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.